first 3-4 years were easy because I was doing everything and I was small enough that if I was painting one house a week for $2,500 with one helper, I made my $1,000 a week. People kept calling us because we were good. So we used to be booked 4 months out. I didn't take a paycheck for 3 months. I said, I'm not going to keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. I'm pulling the trigger. I'm so glad I did. I'm getting customers that have called me back that I haven't seen in a couple of years. And they're like, oh, I remember you. I saw your video. I cracked $1 million for the first time this year. It was super cool. Talk to you guys. A lot of credit goes to Tridas and everything you guys are doing.
Howard, great to have you on, man. So we're at the PCA in Orlando. How have you found the event so far?
It's a good event. Second time I've been here. Obviously, the first year was like all of this knowledge being thrown at me. So kind of did a little bit more focus on some categories instead of just widespread thoughts, but it's been a great event.
Got it. Well, I'm excited to have you on because you're obviously a trusted partner of Tridas, but more importantly, you're a genuinely good business owner that cares and you're growing the business in a great way. What were the specific things that you came to this event looking for to get out of it?
Systems. I've been super blessed to have hard work, ethic, all that stuff easy for me. And I always thought that was enough. But as you start to get bigger and scale, if you don't have systems in place, it's just a mess because everything up in here doesn't translate. So that's what I was here for this year, is to get all the things up in my brain into a system so I could share it with the team and they could be better equipped to be successful.
And is that in specific elements of the business? Is that for production or is that for, what is that for?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it is production, scheduling, admin, marketing. The painting and those processes, they're already in well established. So I actually painted with my crew for years before I transitioned off the wall.
Right.
So the painting side has always been good. Custom, high-end, detail-oriented painting. So it's the systems that you're talking about with the PM and the office manager.
Got it. And that was something interesting we spoke about earlier, was that you're painter first, then business owner. How long have you run the business for?
So my company's been open 15 years as Color Concepts Painting, but I've been painting for 30 plus.
What was that line in the sand that made you want to start the business and go out on your own?
Timing was a big deal. My wife sacrificed and stayed home with the kids when they were younger, and I give her a lot of credit. She's a lot smarter than I am.
Sure.
I work
always
hard. Always.
Yeah.
So I think after about 10 years, kids were getting older. She was feeling antsy to get back to work, and she went out, finished her degree, got a wonderful job in the medical field, and she replaced my income, and she replaced the insurance. So I said, this is the first opportunity that I've had to go out there without risk and know that my family will still succeed. There was never a thought of failure, but it was risk-free. So
what was your journey like over those 15 years? Did you have years that you struggled to get started and hit the ground running, or how did that look?
The first 3-4 years were easy because I was doing everything and I was small enough that, if I was painting one house a week for $2,500, with one helper, the math was easy. It was like, great, I made my $1,000 a week this week, and that was very good for a long time. It was just a great job that I provided for myself.
Sure.
Right. I give a lot of credit to my operations manager now because he was a painter for me for 13, 14 years now. Back then he said, Howard, I don't need you here.
Yeah.
I love you, buddy, but go run another job.
Okay. So he gave you the motivation to push and go out further.
Yeah, he did.
Interesting. So. Okay. And at what point was that then? You said the first few years it was you doing one job.
Yep.
Did you get into it with the idea of I want to grow a fully fledged business, or was it always, or initially I just want to do painting. I just want to do my own thing.
100% just painting.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a crafts person. I care about the job. I enjoy painting. Actually, sometimes I miss it. What I didn't expect, because I did grow, so that 3 to 5 years was, hiring more people.
Sure.
They would work with Tim, then they'd go out and I'd get them a helper. And then that helper was good enough that I would get them a helper. So we grew really slowly, really organically. And to answer your question more directly, I had no desire to grow into a the size that we are, people kept calling us because we were good.
Sure.
So we used to be booked 4 months out. I mean, it was
Really? Okay.
really, really easy for the first 5
So it's
years.
just a happy accident. It wasn't like
100%.
dedicated, forced growth with the outcome.
Absolutely.
Got it. Has that changed over the past year or so? Like, do you have more like dedicated growth goals you're going for?
I do. So, post-COVID, things got different. I was big enough to where I had a lot of responsibilities. My crew's W-2 primarily. I
Okay.
have switched into some subcontractors, which has worked out well. But, there's a lot of responsibility to those people. I bring them on. They got to feed their families. And as a person who was that the painter, I have that mindset. I never had the business owner mindset. I had to retrain my brain, which I have done a lot of in the last 5 years. So,
okay. So you went through for like a lot of self-development.
I did.
Then. Okay. Why was that? Did you just recognize that you needed to level up as a person, or because some people just keep doing what they're doing? So why was the change?
My back hurts. My knee hurts. I couldn't paint till I was dead.
Okay.
So I needed to get better. And level up is a good way to say it, because I really enjoyed when somebody who worked for me bought their first house. I felt really proud of the fact that our little tiny painting company is able to put food on the table for other people.
Yeah.
And that pride carried into, I've got to grow so that I can protect them. And if I do those things well, and then I will be rewarded in the end.
I think people say that a lot, and it's definitely something that I've personally found at Tridas as well, that there's only so far your own motivation can go to help yourself.
Right.
But when you have a team, and that team have a wife, they have kids, they have families to look after, like, at least for us, I kind of took it internally of like, I am now responsible for their children's lives as well. And for me, that's like a much bigger motivation than just selfishly as well.
Exactly.
So you said the guy's name was Tim?
Yeah, Tim,
That's
my operations manager.
Your operations manager. But you were working with him for 13 years.
Yeah.
Was that intentional? Did you see a path of growth for him, or did it just happen over time as you guys worked together?
So Tim, it happened over time, but he's been in this role before. He used to work for a company out in Chicago doing the custom brick staining and brick by brick and custom color matching and like really, really technically difficult stuff. And he got really good at that stuff. So he ran crews, set up crews, and then would go to other locations, set up crews. He worked with them, but like he would fly out to, a big commercial building and then set up the color, make the color, stain with them. So he had a much better vision of what 10 people should be doing at once. I could only focus when I was in the field. I could only focus on what I was doing. I would just trust them to do what they were going to do. And Tim always had that vision of what many people could do.
Interesting. And so did Tim get you out of the production full time then?
Yeah.
Okay. So what does your role look like day to day now then?
Yeah. So definitely the visionary, definitely motivator, number one and only estimator, which probably will change.
Okay.
So I book estimates Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays. That's it, Mondays, I'm typically in meetings with Tim and the office manager, mostly scheduling. I do all the scheduling too.
Okay.
And then Fridays, things are good. We take it easy. So,
well, something I like about what you've built is like even the logo on your shirt is you've built a brand that it is different in a nice way. You see a lot of these companies, they have the same types of logos. It's, the bunny rabbit with the brush and it's all bubbly.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is on purpose or not. It looks like you went in a slightly different tangent in a different direction.
Yeah.
That positions you guys, at least from my perspective, a little bit more premium, a little bit like higher quality. You kind of look a little bit more experienced, like you've been around longer just based on how the brand looks as well. Was that on purpose, or was it just something you liked?
Intentional.
It was.
That was. So
okay.
As a young painter, I just felt like there were so many people out there doing a horrible job. Showing up late, showing up smelling like stuff they shouldn't. And it was really easy to be better than my competition. So the details, the professionalism, as a tiny little 1, 2, 3-man show, that still mattered to me. So when I was coming up with color concepts painting, of course I do color consultations. So that kind of led into the name and the design of the logo and that feel of high end, detailed. It was very intentional. And my brother-in-law does graphic art, so we just kind of worked through building the logo together. And it's been really.
How long ago was that?
That was 15 years ago.
Oh, so this is you've been your original logo.
This is my original logo since the beginning.
That's great. Well, it's definitely grown into shape then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said briefly earlier that your son is coming into the business.
Yeah. So
talk to me about that.
That's a brand new conversation. And it started pretty organically. I always told him, you don't want to do this. I told him, you do not want to be a painter. You do not want to be a business owner. It's too much stress. It's too much pressure, and it's just not worth it. Those tough in between years from 3 to 5 up to 10 to 12, it was just difficult for me, especially a person who's not a business person first.
Right.
So I told him, no, you're too smart, like your mother. Go get your electrical engineering degree and become an engineer. And he did that. He went to University of Michigan, go Blue. And he got his engineering degree. And within a year, they said, I see something in you. We want to move you into sales. So he moved into the sales side. And fast forward to recently, so he's been in the industry for about 3 years. And now, just jokingly, maybe a month ago, I said to him, hey, see that desk that's open over there? It's your desk. And he looked at me and he's like, what? You told me not to do this. He's like, hey, I'm just saying it's an option, not a fallback.
Yeah.
You have an option. And he was driving to a client's house with another salesman and just talking. And we was talking about my business, and I cracked $1 million for the first time this year, which was super cool. Talk to you guys. A lot of credit goes to Tridas and everything you guys are doing. But when we cracked that $1 million, my son was like, that's a number that's interesting. And it opened his mind a little bit now that he's in sales. And he's driving with this guy, and the guy looked at him and said, your dad owns $1 million paint company. Why are you here? So all within 1 week, I point to the desk. He has this conversation. And then we actually scheduled a meeting. And we talked about preliminary, what it might look like. I told him we're going to talk more after the PCA. He's going to collect his thoughts, and we've got another meeting scheduled next week to see what this is going to look like.
That's amazing. Because I remember you said for a while, was it 3-5 years or something, you were stagnant and kind of hitting the same revenue point. You hadn't cracked the $1 million. How long was that for that you were hitting that same point?
We were between 600,000 and 800,000 for what seemed like must have been 7 years.
Okay, for 7 years. And was it just like a mental switch in your head where you're like, I'm just going to do something about this. Like, I need to change. Like, why did you not just continue?
I think it was because of the growth of the team. Opportunities were there. We were busy enough. We were booking 4 months out. So it's like either raise your prices or grow your company. And I chose to grow my company.
So what was some of the struggles you were facing then to not be able to push? Did you have to hire people first and then resolve marketing, or was it you needed to market to get more sales to then look into growth?
At the time, I didn't really need to market to grow because we're so fortunate. I mean, we've got great reviews. We've got a great community. I'm involved in networking. I'm involved in my church. I'm involved in coaching. I'm involved in the community. Never once did I ever think that I was selling them anything. But as a result of being involved, caring about people, all of a sudden they're like, well, you're a painter. I want to hire you, not somebody else.
Sure.
So, but then all of a sudden you have these people and it's like, well, wait a minute. Now I want to make some more money again. So that's what drove me to say, now I have to do a little bit of marketing, grow the business a little bit more so that we can sustain this amount of team. Word of mouth is great, but it can only take you so far.
Sure. And you have that responsibility for the team to keep them fed, help their families grow and whatnot as well.
That's exactly it.
So your son's coming into the business. Is that pretty exciting then?
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Why did you decide to make that change then? Because you said for so long not to do it. And then you were like, hey, the desk is open over here. Was that just because you saw more of the vision since you started growing, or why did you decide to change that?
Yeah, absolutely the vision. And believe it or not, the subcontractor model, the vision of growth, I'm 51 and I'm thinking about what am I going to do? I've got a great financial advisor and I'm trying to get set up, but I'm like, what am I going to do at 60? Am I going to sell the business? Is it worth anything?
Sure.
If it is, like, so my original plan before he was involved was I'm growing this thing as big as I can, and at 60 I'm selling it. It's changed a little bit with the possibility of him coming in, and
Sure.
we have to figure those details out. But that growth was before him, and his first conversation is, "Dad, I'm not coming on board unless you plan on growing this thing."
Makes sense.
So him coming up, I thought, well, he would just be a painter like I was, and he would just be,
Right.
a small operator of his own
Right.
company.
Right. Right.
And now that I see that he doesn't have to do that, he can
Yeah.
be a visionary, he can be an estimator, he can be
That's the fun part.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I loved painting, but I'm shocked at how much I love this too. I can't believe that I turned out to be a good businesswoman.
Well, I think that's Candy. I think that's the best way to go about it because you learned the trade and were so good at what you did and then transitioned into business. There's a lot of guys that perhaps do it the other way where they are more business owner and then they have to learn the painting side. In my opinion, that's arguably harder to do. I'm sure it works both ways, of course, but I think you have that benefit of, you know what you're talking about. You know how to do this stuff, right? So when you transition into business, that's just like learning business growth, but you're always going to have that foundation of being a great company, being able to manage painters, being able to do a good job, which at the end of the day is what you're selling in the first place.
My crew trusts me.
Yeah.
They know that I'm capable. I
You've
would
had the
never
experience.
send them up on that 40-foot ladder because I've done it.
Sure.
So it makes a big difference when you're dealing with people.
So talk to me about the growth then. You hit the plateau and you decided, it was like coming into winter, you decided to work with Tridas and say, hey, we're gonna try crack this $1 million a year and start growing. What were the changes in the business that happened that made that happen in the first place?
So the winter conversation was just very much the last 4 or 5 years. Well, 4 years, the winter's been so bad. And thank God I was able to work my tail off to keep the crew busy. And they did. I didn't have to lay anybody off. They worked 40 hours a week. Everything was great for them. I didn't take a paycheck for 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, I'm not going to keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So I'm doing this thing with you guys, Tridas, and I'm pulling the trigger. And I'm so glad I did. It's been the most rewarding winter in years because I didn't feel that stress. I didn't feel that pain. I didn't worry about my team. I didn't worry about, where's that job coming from next week? Because now that we've grown, when you're small, it's easy to keep 2-3 guys busy.
Sure.
But when you've got more than that, it's just harder. And so nothing but great things to say about you and your company. I'm so glad I made that choice because I'm not business first. I'm people first. So it felt like a big business decision to me, and I'm so glad it worked out.
Well, I think it makes, to give you credit, it makes our job a lot easier when you have a business with a great foundation, a great brand, like you said, great reviews, your guys trust you. It makes it easier because it's kind of just like dumping rocket fuel on the fire you've already got. There's lots of guys that don't have any of that. And it doesn't matter if you throw more fuel on it, nothing's going to change. But I think you've done a great job of you have the foundation. Now it's just let's stoke the fire.
It's
and
fun
let's get
to
it
see
moving.
that.
Yeah.
You talk about rocket fuel, and I'm just seeing that.
Yeah.
I'm getting customers that have called me back that I haven't seen in a couple of years, and they're like, "Oh, I remember you, but I didn't save your contact, but I saw your video."
Sure.
Old customers coming back, because now they're it's present in front of them. They're seeing it.
Well, there's something to be said about just people remembering you and staying top of mind.
Right.
The more eyeballs you get in front of, the more money you make, and some people just need to be reminded that you're here, that you're there to serve, you're about.
Right.
So are you hiring a lot of guys this year to kind of keep fueling that growth?
We are. So the other thing that we've done, and I've learned a lot at these PCA events, is I really thought subcontracting or 1099 contractors was a evil, dirty thing. And what I've realized is, just like me, there are people who are great painters. Back then, I didn't want to grow the business. There's people that have their own companies that are small and they don't want to do what I do. They don't want to go do 20 estimates a week. They don't want to have systems. They just want to paint.
Right.
So I realized there's some great people out there that are very talented that need me as much as I need them. So we've built a couple very specific relationships. Guys that actually used to work for me full-time W-2,
Okay.
they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, Howard, I know." And they put in their 2 weeks. They quit the right way. So they
Mm-hmm.
were great people. When they left, it was nothing but, "Hey, good luck to you."
Mm.
And when they didn't have work, they called me and said, "Hey, can we start working for you?" And now we use them all the time. I don't even consider them subs.
You
They
know them
have their
so
own
well, yeah.
company
Mm-hmm.
and they do their own business as well. But when they're there, they represent us. They do the job properly, and it's a great partnership.
Got it. So we're coming into spring, ramping up for summer. How do you feel like this summer is going to look differently from the previous years? Is it going to be like a complete overwhelm? Are you just prepping some guys to tack on a little bit more? What do you kind of project seeing there?
It's going to be a really big summer.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do really well this summer. I think we usually do about 50, 60 exteriors a year.
Okay.
In Michigan, it's cold, so you got to get them in when you can.
Yeah.
And I've already set up and aligned with a few contractors that are very specific to exteriors,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking to build a relationship with me as well. I expect to do between 100 and 150. I know that's a big range, but between 100 and 150 exteriors
Really?
this
Okay.
summer.
So you're talking about doubling or tripling the
Correct.
growth there. Okay.
Correct.
That's going to be a lot to manage then. There's going to be a lot of growth.
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is why I need my son.
That's why the desk is open. You're like,
That's
we
right.
need somebody. So you've grown a lot. I think we can see the stats on the back end that, again, like we can do the marketing, we can dump rocket fuel on the fire. You've got your great foundation. Something we've seen that's actually worked really well is you've got a really good booking rate and a really good close rate. Like the estimates you go out to, some guys can only close 20, 25% of their estimates, but it seems to me that you've got some sort of good sales process because from what we can see, you're closing 40, 50%
Yep.
of the estimates coming through. Why is that? You think you have something slightly different? You approach it differently than most?
I think I'm just authentic and honest.
I see that.
And when people feel like they're being sold or pitched, they I most people don't respond well to that. I just want to help people.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I get the benefit of making a living doing it.
Making some money from it.
So it's very easy to sell a job
Mhm.
when you walk into a client's home and you want to help them. And I've told them, "Hey, maybe we're not the best fit for you. Maybe there's somebody that can start tomorrow. Maybe
Sure.
your budget, maybe you're selling the house and you're gonna hire me for the house that you're buying,
Mhm.
but you're gonna use the cheapest guy for this one because you just want to get it sold." And I will educate them.
Mm.
I don't mind sharing that information with them. And when you come at that with that approach, I think people want to work with you.
Well, listen, man, it's been a pleasure having you on, and I appreciate you trusting Tridas, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we can make happen in 2026. Did you have a revenue goal for the end of this year you're aiming for?
1.5.
1.5.
Yep.
Okay, so last year you cracked the million.
Yep.
Looking to tack on another 500 this year.
Got it.
What's the end goal here in the next 3-5 years? Do you have a number you're shooting for?
Yeah.
Or is this just to see how far it goes?
I feel like 3 million
Okay.
in 3 years.
I think that's reasonably doable. You get your son involved as well when he starts selling for you and picking some stuff up.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you having
Right.
been on, man. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, man. Appreciate you very much.